It's that time. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka G33. I want to thank you guys and welcome you guys back to the Legit Shoot podcast. We are here with your Monday Night Raw review and results for September 7, 2020. Once again, thank you guys for joining me, and I'm going to get right into the opening shoe. Alright, I'm not going to waste any time because I really don't want to be here that long. Because I'm going to be honest, this show sucked. I'm going to be like straight off. You know, I am not interested in almost anything that's going on Monday Night Raw right now. SmackDown is a different, situation. I'm very invested in SmackDown. I like what they're doing with the Intercontinental Championship scene. I like what they're doing with Roman Reigns' heel turn. I love what they're doing with Sasha Banks and Bayley. So there's a lot more interesting things going on SmackDown than Monday Night Raw. Other than Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton and a little bit of what they're doing with Dominic and Rey Mysterio, I just don't give a shit. This show is not good. Alright, like I said, there's probably only maybe 2 good segments on a 3-hour show, and you cannot do that. The big problem, and this is where I want to go with the opening shoot tonight. The big problem with this show is, I see you guys in the chat. I see we got some drunk people. You guys are making me laugh. Alright, but the big problem with this show is rinse and repeat garbage. We need a WWE draft more than ever, or a shake-up or something to, mix up these rosters. That's what we need more than ever right now. Every single week, it's the same shit. Rematch after rematch after rematch. It's like, and you can tell, because I read reports every single week that Vince McMahon is not reading the script for the show until early Monday morning or late Monday night before they go on the air. Sometimes I'm reading that they're producing and rewriting the script during the actual show, which is unacceptable because it's so obvious. You can clearly see each and every single week that they're not taking time forming up a good show. You should have the script of your show done before Monday morning. The show should already be written up. And yes, I understand Vince McMahon is terrible. Because every single week he waits and then he decides to rip off the script and have the show be rewritten at the last moment. It's one of the reasons why Vince has to go. It's one of the many reasons why Vince has to go. He is so out of touch these days, it comes off every single week. Tell me, how are you going to rewrite your show as it's going on the air? Because it's obvious. But most of the things you see on the show every single week, it's obvious that, they're just throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it sticks. How many weeks now have we seen the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza in some fashion? No matter if it's in some one-on-one or some handicap or tag team nonsense. We've seen Keith Lee and Randy Orton, and no matter how much I love it, I love Keith Lee and Randy Orton, 2 of my favorite superstars on Monday Night Raw. How many times have we seen that since Keith Lee has been on the main roster? He hasn't even been on the main roster a month yet, and we've already seen it 3 times in the span of 2 weeks. 4 times if you count the triple threat match last week. So Keith Lee and Randy Orton have been in the ring together now 4 times in the last 2 weeks. How many times do we have to see Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins going up against Dominic or Rey Mysterio in some fashion? One-on-one, handicap, some nonsense like that. Are we serious right now? Really? It's rinse and repeat garbage. Every single week, 24/7 championship. R2 versus Tozawa and his ninjas in some new way. This is not good stuff at all. This is terrible. You put Kevin Owens and Aleister Black in Raw Underground, a feud that I want to get invested in because I like both superstars. You turn Aleister Black heel, and then you're in Raw Underground and you don't even let us see the match. 80% of the match takes place off camera. The match starts around 10:05. We don't get back to the match until about 10:25, and the match doesn't even get a conclusive finish. So you want me to get invested into that feud, and you're not even going to give me a conclusive finish. Did no one see the problems with any of the nonsense we see on this show? Shayna Baszler. Alright, Sasha Banks and Bayley. And we can talk all day about how excited we are for the Sasha Banks and Bayley feud whenever it happens, whenever Sasha returns to WWE TV. But, Sasha and Bayley, before they broke up, put Nia Jax. Nia freaking Jax. Nia trash for you guys know how when I think of Nia Jax and how garbage she is. They put Nia Jax over and Shayna Baszler more importantly. Right? Right before Sasha and Bayley break up, they put over Shayna Baszler in the biggest way possible. They had Shayna Baszler defeat both Sasha and Bayley at the same time in one of the most unique ways ever at Payback. Shayna Baszler using Sasha Banks to make her own tag team partner tap out in the middle of the ring. And two of the best female wrestlers in the world. Sasha undisputedly is number one, and Bayley's fantastic. And then 1 week later, you have Shayna losing in 2 minutes to Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott in a 2-on-1 handicap match. When we just seen her defeat Sasha and Bayley basically on her own, two of the best in the world. But she can't beat Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott in a handicap match? This is the kind of crap I'm talking about. They take one step further and then 3 steps back. Every single week with this show. It's the same nonsense. It's the same garbage. I hate it. I really do. I'm tired of the rewritten. I'm tired of the same shit. We need a draft more than ever right now, or some kind of shakeup. And I know I've heard reports that it's going to happen in October. Honestly, I would move it up to happen after Clash of Champions. Because Raw needs it more than ever. Most of the weeks I'm complaining about SmackDown. At least SmackDown with a limited roster can give me a decent show on a week-to-week basis because there's things I'm invested in. I'm almost invested into nothing on Monday Night Raw each and every single week. Absolutely nothing. And you have 3 hours. So that means you're supposed to have even more talent to fill in those 3 hours. But still, we're giving the same nonsense each and every single week. It's garbage. It's pathetic. And Vince should be ashamed of himself. I'm tired. Someone needs to step up. Because at the end of the day, I can rant and I can educate you guys every single week on this podcast. But at the end of the day, you think Vince is going to listen to someone like me? Just some random black dude ranting on YouTube? No, someone in this company, if someone in the company is watching this, someone needs to step up and tell Vince he got to go. It's ridiculous. It really is. And his influence is actually spreading to NXT. I didn't do an NXT review last week, but you guys can see it. Alright? You had an amazing 60-man Iron Man match for the NXT Championship between 4 of the best NXT champions of all time. Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and Finn Balor. Amazing 60-man Iron Man match, even though I wish there was a crowd. And the match ends with a non-finish just to set up a match next week, actually tomorrow night, between Finn Balor and Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. That's Vince McMahon booking 101. Vince McMahon has got to go. Yes, Vince has done great things for WWE, but shit like this gotta stop. As long as Vince is in control, you're going to get crap like this. I'm tired of the rewritten shows. I'm tired with the scripts that make no sense. I'm tired of the same rinse and repeat matches, rinse and repeat booking every single week. Vince McMahon has got to go. I don't care what anybody says. That is more apparent than ever. I can't stand it. It's the reason why I'm doing this opening shoot tonight. Because I'm tired of the rinse and repeat nonsense. I'm tired of every single week us getting the same matches, the same booking. And it would be one thing if this was happening on a 2-hour show on SmackDown. But the fact that it's happening on Monday Night Raw, that's supposed to be 3 hours where you're supposed to have more than enough talent to fill in those 3 hours with creative booking. But instead we get the same shit every single week. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. How many times can we get a Hurt Business 3v3 or 6-man tag match? How many times can we get it? Who really sits back there and says, this is creative booking. This is going to help us raise the ratings? It's not. It's terrible. I don't care what anybody says. You can agree with me or not. But what I'm saying is facts. It really is. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me here on the review tonight. I don't care what. And we're going to get into Monday Night Raw as always. The build towards Clash of Champions continues. The show started off with Randy Orton. Last week, Randy Orton became the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. getting another match with Drew McIntyre. This is probably the only good thing on Monday Night Raw. I love what they've been doing with this feud, and I like the story that they're telling. If you guys remember 2 weeks ago, Drew McIntyre was taken out by Randy Orton with 3 punt kicks. And, Drew McIntyre was out selling the jaw injury. I would have had Drew McIntyre sell the injury for at least one more week. Those 3 kicks were devastating, especially the last one that he did backstage. But Randy Orton came out and basically, Randy Orton cuts great promos every single week. Every single week. He's been one of the best on the mic all year. So Randy Orton came out and he warned Keith Lee. So first off, they announced Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. Like I said, this is the 4th time we would see these two in the ring in just the last 2 weeks. We saw it on Keith Lee's debut. We saw it on WWE Payback, where Keith Lee got that shocking victory. We saw it last week in the triple threat match to determine Drew McIntyre's #1 contender, and we saw it again tonight. So, Randy Orton kicked off the show. He talked about Keith Lee. He said that the more that they cross paths, the more likely he gets his head kicked with a punt. Orton then talked about the 3 punt kicks he unleashed on Drew McIntyre, and he suggested that Drew save himself the trouble, because at this point it would be unclear if Drew would make it to Clash Champions because he would need to be cleared. And Randy suggested that Drew save himself the trouble by handing over the WWE Championship and forfeit before Clash of Champions. All of a sudden, a siren sounded, and you knew right away. WWE does this all the time. How many times do we see the superstar get taken out, by another superstar? They're taken to an ambulance, and then, the week later, or sometimes in the same night, they come back driving the ambulance. We've seen this with Becky Lynch. We've seen this with The Fiend. We've seen this with Kane. And we used to see it all the time with Dean Ambrose. Tonight we've seen it with Drew McIntyre. So an ambulance comes into the Thunderdome. All right. Michael Cole was like, who's driving the ambulance? So I also forgot to mention, Michael Cole was on commentary tonight. I'll say this, I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Cole, but, I'd rather have Michael Cole calling the action than freaking Tom Phillips. You guys know how much I can't stand Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips. They're both awful at what they do. I'll take Michael Cole calling a show over Tom Phillips' stupid ass any day of the week. Alright, so, basically, Drew McIntyre comes out of the ambulance. He was looking ripped. Drew McIntyre is absolutely ripped in that tank top. So McIntyre comes out and he blasted Randy Orton with a Claymore kick. Then we see referees come in to pull him off the #1 contender, and McIntyre stood tall over his Clash of Champions opponent. Like I said, the only thing I didn't like about this segment is, and like I said also, Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton is basically the only thing that I really invested in, other than, a little bit of what they're doing with Dominic and Rey Mysterio. But like I said, this is really the only thing I'm invested in on Monday Night Raw. Only thing I'm invested in. I would have saved Drew McIntyre's return for another week. Have him sell the injury. And I'll say this. I'm scared because I might be doing a extra podcast here Tuesday or Wednesday. Depends on how the week goes. But I want to talk a little bit more about Sasha Banks and Bayley later on in the week. We saw Bayley basically write Sasha Banks off TV. And there was a report that came out from WWE's Twitter page that Sasha Banks is at home recovering from the attack. The attack that Bayley did, in usual circumstances, would write Sasha Banks off WWE TV for months. And like I said, I would not have Sasha Banks return until the Royal Rumble. But the thing is, I know WWE. We all know WWE, right? They can't stand having superstars out. And they're always looking for cheap ratings. So how long is Sasha Banks going to be off TV? I don't see the match happening at Clash of Champions, but I could definitely see it happening on Hell in a Cell. And we already know WWE wants to do a Hell in a Cell match for the women this year. Sasha and Bayley would make sense, but I want them to save Sasha and Bayley for WrestleMania. But we'll be talking about that a little bit later in the week. Well, what Randy Orton attacked Drew McIntyre a couple weeks ago, that should leave Drew McIntyre off of TV for weeks. But he's back in only 2 weeks. So that's the thing I'm worried about. How long till we see Sasha Banks' return? As much as I love Sasha and not seeing her on WWE TV is tough already, but she should be out selling those injuries. I don't want to see Sasha Banks back in 2 weeks. So what I'm worried about is we already see Drew McIntyre coming back in 2 weeks. How long until they force Sasha Banks to come back? It's going to make, the moment less special. Of course, I'm excited for the Sasha and Bayley feud and match. But still, man, have Sasha sell those injuries. If Drew McIntyre comes back after 2 weeks, how long till Sasha returns? That's the point I'm making. I hate when WWE does this garbage. I really do. Really do hate when WWE does this nonsense. But also another thing, I hate when WWE feels like they have to recap segments of previous television shows. Like, how many times do you have to show us replays of what Randy Orton did to Drew McIntyre? Yes, I understand every once in a while you have to replay it just because, you have to remind the audience or potentially new viewers of what's going on in their storyline. But the thing is, WWE, they show this stuff over and over and over again. They play things to death. They keep replaying what happens like we're not watching. Like, I hate it. I really do hate it. And I like the intensity that Drew McIntyre showed, but I want to see officials forced to take Drew McIntyre off him. The referees come into the ring and he just stops. Like, no, keep beating up on him. Force him. Force. The refs need to force Drew McIntyre off him. Show that Drew wants to kill Randy Orton for what he did. Randy Orton tried to end his career, but instead Drew just hits one Claymore kick and then he's gone. But this would not be the end. This would not be the last we would see of Drew McIntyre on tonight's program. So Drew goes backstage, and Adam Pearce is awaiting him backstage. And Adam Pearce is like, "You're not supposed to be here. You're not medically cleared. With Retribution running rampant and all this other nonsense, I cannot have you here." So Drew's like, "Okay, let me go find the ambulance. I'll be out of your head." But Drew would not leave. So I'm going to just skip ahead just a little bit, just because we're talking about it. Save us, save some time. But here we go. Later on in the night, we would have Randy Orton versus Keith Lee. Like I said, I already have a problem with this because this would be the third time we would see this match, or the fourth time actually we would see these two in the ring in just 2 weeks. Keith Lee, I'm going to keep saying it till it's changed. Change his theme song. Stop having him wrestle in that ridiculous vest. I don't care how many times I'm going to say it. Until it's changed, I'm going to keep bitching and moaning about it. Change Keith Lee's theme song. It's absolutely awful. I will never get used to that generic trash. So, we got Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. And, like I said, overexposing, keep giving us the same match again and again and again. If I'm Keith Lee, I would already be pissed. Like, in NXT, they would never have me wrestle the same guy this many times in a month's period. Not even 2 weeks. Now, a couple weeks ago, Keith Lee talked about how excited he was to get to wrestle Randy Orton. But now, he's wrestled Randy Orton 4 times in 2 weeks. So, come on. Absolutely ridiculous. So, we had Randy Orton versus Keith Lee here. Orton was selling. He did a great job of selling the injured jaw because of Orton's Claymore, or not Orton, Drew's Claymore kick from earlier in the night. Lee dominated the match early, but he tried the charts at Randy Orton at ringside. Orton countered it, and this would allow Randy Orton to get the advantage. Orton did the normal offense, the Orton stop. He did a headlock. Keith Lee then flattened Orton with a power slam. Keith then went for the Spirit Bomb, but Orton escaped and delivered an RKO. Took Orton 3 times to get the RKO off clean. But then, out of nowhere, after Orton hits the RKO, Drew McIntyre enters the ring and hits Orton with a Claymore kick. This would be the second Claymore kick of the night. You guys see the trend here. Last week or a couple weeks ago, we saw Orton deliver 3 punt kicks on McIntyre. McIntyre now had 2 Claymore kicks to his name on Orton. So then afterwards, the match ended by DQ. So Orton gets the victory here. Keith Lee was nowhere to be found. So I don't know. I'm hearing reports that Vince wants to push Keith Lee, but you didn't really make him look that important here. I don't know why you would even book this match to begin with. But whatever. Then Adam Pearce came out. He got on McIntyre again. McIntyre said he was leaving. Then we saw Orton. He got mad at Adam Pearce for not doing his job by keeping McIntyre out of the arena. Orton playing a good heel. Then we saw Orton trying to leave the arena a couple minutes later. And then McIntyre, who was still in the building, attacked Orton at the interview area. Then I like the aggression here. This was the aggression that was missing in the beginning segment with these two. So then we see McIntyre. He's pushing Orton's head into the steel steps and pushing his head in the. And I see Jamal Muhammad in the chat. I don't know. I'm guessing you're a new subscriber, bro. Welcome to the review. I love you. As you guys know, I love seeing new people in our streams. I love the normal people that are here every single week. You guys are what keeps the podcast going, but I also love seeing new people in the chat. So, Jamai Muhammad, Anthony, good to see you guys. I love seeing new people joining us for our streams every single week. But back to what we were saying, Drew McIntyre is pushing Randy Orton into the steel ring post, and he's like, "You like how that feels? Now you know what it feels like." So I like this aggression by McIntyre. So then McIntyre pushes Randy Orton into the ring set up for the interview area. I'm messing my words up. And then McIntyre hits Orton with a third, and this was clearly the most devastating Claymore kick. Kind of like how Randy Orton's third punt kick on McIntyre a couple weeks ago was just as devastating. So I liked what we saw here. McIntyre getting his revenge. Orton hit 3 punt kicks on McIntyre. McIntyre hit 3 Claymore kicks on Orton. So I liked what they did here. All right, this was probably the only good thing outside of the main event on the show. So, both Orton and McIntyre selling, the jaw injuries with their finishing moves. I don't know where they go from here, because remember, we still have a good, 3 weeks till Clash Champions. I think we still have 2 Raws. So we'll have to see what happens next week. But so far, I like what we're seeing. This is probably the only thing other than Dominic and Ray, like I said before, that I'm invested in on Monday Night Raw. All right? Anyway, getting into it, we had let me make sure. Yep, we had Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander versus the Hurt Business. Before the match, we saw Cedric Alexander. He got attacked by the Hurt Business. And then later during this match, and clearly this was kind of obvious, they've been setting this up for a couple weeks now, Cedric Alexander turned heel and joined the Hurt Business. So Apollo was in the ring, and out of nowhere, he turned on Apollo and Ricochet. He pulled Ricochet off the ring apron and threw him into the guardrail, and then he delivered a lumbar check to Apollo Crews, allowing Benjamin to score the pin for the victory. After the match, we saw Alexander. He flashed a vibrant smile at the Hurt Business, and then it looked like Cedric Alexander had officially joined the Hurt Business. Like I said, they've been teasing this now for more than a couple weeks, a couple months, honestly. If you guys remember, this started way back when they were back still at the Performance Center. But I like this. Cedric Alexander, and you can say this, man. You can say this about Paulo. You can say this about Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, all these baby faces, man. WWE does not know how to book baby faces. They don't. They make them all look at jobbers. Right now, if you guys notice, we are 3 weeks away from Clash of Champions, and we still have no number 1 contender for Bobby Lashley. Remember, at Clash of Champions, every single main roster championship will be defended. So it's going to be a long show. I'm willing to bet we'll probably have 2, maybe even 3 pre-show matches. All right? But either way, I like this heel turn, but we still also got to remember we still need to set up a number 1 contender for Bobby Lashley. All right? But I like this. This is probably the best thing for Cedric Alexander. Yeah, I would say the same thing if they turn Ricochet heel or if they turn Ali heel or Apollo heel. This is the best thing for them because I actually like the Hurt Business. I do. They've been one of the better things, one of the only positives on Monday Night Raw throughout all this nonsense, throughout this Performance Center era. Right up there with Sasha and Bayley and Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. The Hurt Business, for the most part, has been booked pretty good. So I like this for Cedric Alexander. This is better than him being just that, normal, generic-ass babyface with Ricochet, Apollo, and Ali. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, Later in the night, and I didn't like this. Like I said, WWE doesn't know how to make things special. They don't know how to save things. All right, I did not like this at all. So later in the night, we see we get a special edition of the VIP lounge. And before the VIP lounge, Shelton Benjamin went up to Cedric Alexander and said, "You better not be playing us. You better be here for good. You better not be trying to break up the Hurt Business." All right. So it's like they're already setting up that potentially, I don't know if this is the actual story, but that they could potentially break up the Hurt Business, thanks to Cedric Alexander, entering as an intruder. All right. But I did, like Cedric cut a decent promo explaining why, nothing too special. It was a decent promo talking about why he joined the Hurt Business, talking about why am I fighting Apollo's championship battles for him, and why am I, teaming with Ricochet, a guy who calls himself the one and only. So it made sense. It was a good promo. It wasn't anything special. It got to the point, but I would have saved this for next week. Make me wait. Make me wait a week, to be intrigued and want to tune in to see Cedric's explanation. Instead of waiting a week, they decide, oh, yeah, we have nothing creative. We need something for tonight. So not even an hour later, that's when they have Cedric give the explanation. I did not like that at all. WWE just doesn't understand when they have something special. They don't. I really do hate that. So then, out of nowhere, the War Raiders came out, and I was like, no. Because I could tell right away. Because right behind the War Raiders, I call them the War Raiders. Who cares? They're the Viking Raiders, but whatever. So then, Apollo and Ricochet came out, and, the babyfaces rushed the ring. And guess what we got? We got an 8-man tag team match, like Teddy Long would say. I absolutely hated it. I hated it, bro. It's the same rinse and repeat garbage. 6-man tag team match, 8-man tag team match. Come on, bro. So now what? For the next 2 months, we're going to see what? How many times we're going to see Cedric Alexander versus Ricochet? Or Cedric Alexander versus one of the Viking Raiders? Or Cedric Alexander versus Apollo Crews? Because what? We all know this company has nothing creative. They do things to death. They just keep giving the same rinse and repeat bullshit every single week. I'm telling you guys right now, that's what you guys can expect. I'm happy that Cedric's heel, and, I think the Hurt Business is the best thing for him, but that's what we're going to get. That's what we're going to get the next 2 months. We're going to see Cedric just facing off against these baby faces each and every single week. It's coming. It's coming. So the match itself, it wasn't a bad match. The match wasn't bad at all. So we got the match. Basically, this was all about, or centered around Cedric going after his former friends, Apollo and Ricochet. The Viking Raiders didn't do much in this match. I'm going to skip to the end here. So, basically, we saw Ivar. I believe he got injured on this. Ivar did a suicide dive that took out most of the heels and babyfaces at ringside. And inside the ring, we saw Alexander hit a Miyuku driver for a botched fall. I don't know, if this was the planned finish or not. Because on commentary, they tried to play it off, Ricochet kicked out at 2.5, but the referee counted 3. So it was definitely a botched finish. Something did not go right here. But clearly, this is going to set up for a rematch next week. You guys know how WWE is. This is just going to set up for a rematch next week. I don't know what will be, Ricochet versus Cedric Alexander, or we may just see the same 8-man tag team bullshit we saw tonight. But clearly, this is a little far from over. But I'll keep reminding you guys, because people will just focus on Cedric's heel turn. And yes, that is good for Rick or for Cedric, but we also need to establish a number one contender for Bobby Lashley's U.S. Championship. It's like you almost forget that Bobby Lashley is the U.S. Champion. Well, eventually Cedric turned back babyface, and, by breaking up the Hurt Business, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be like a Randy Orton, join the Wyatt family situation back in 2017. We'll have to wait and see, but they definitely could go down that direction. But, like I said, I'm not that hyped for this. I'm happy that Cedric is heel, but I'm just not that excited for this, all right? I'm just not. All right? And Edward, what I see Edward just in the chat real quick. Edward says Sasha's face turn has been confirmed. Do you have like a link or something you can put in the chat to confirm this to us? I'm gonna keep going on with the review, but I just noticed that you said that in the chat. So if you have a link or have some source to back up that information, please, because you guys know this is a pro Sasha Banks channel. But let me know in the chat, Edward, since Edward says Sasha's face turn is confirmed. All right. Anyway, getting back to it. Going back to what happened the first hour, we then had another rinse and repeat bullshit situation. We had the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. And like I said, they've gone back to the whole Garza and Andrade not being on the same page nonsense. And I hate this because WWE, the reason why their tag team divisions are so weak is because they decide, and you can say this about the women's tag team division as well, they decide to break up every single team all the time. All the time. The reason why there's no teams is because they break up the teams like that. And then you have a couple injured teams, and then boom, there's no teams in the division. And it leaves us getting the same bullshit with the Street Profits versus Garza and Andrade that we've been seeing since WrestleMania. Legit, 5 months now. WrestleMania was back in April. 5 months now we've been seeing this nonsense with these two teams. But people that don't, want to be WWE Shields will say, oh, this was a good show. No, it was not a good show. It was nonsense. It was a bunch of nonsense, all right? But getting back into it, so we got the match, and Garza and Andrade and Zelina and Andrade were not happy with Garza because you guys remember last week when Retribution attacked, Garza left, and he also left his bachelorette date, to go against Retribution alone. Demi Burnett was not even on the show tonight, but clearly Andrade and Zelina were still not happy. So they wanted to see Garza, start off the match and show them what he got. So basically, there wasn't too much to the match. The match was terrible. Nothing special here because we've seen this, like I said, for the last 5 months. So basically, anything that these teams could do against each other, we've already seen. So there was not much to look forward to. Not much to look forward to. So basically, Garza let Andrade eat a frog splash here, and that was it. So I don't know if this is meaning Garza and Andrade are going to break up. Like I said, another situation where it looks like WWE's going to break up another tag team. Because I don't know why WWE has an addiction to breaking up tag teams. Why can't you have an addiction to actually giving us a good show? Why can't you have an addiction of building up your tag team division with organic and tag teams that can actually challenge for the tag team championships? This is why we complain that the divisions need to be merged. And speaking of merging the divisions, we got a surprise here. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions Nakamura and Cesaro arrived as part of the Brand to Brand Invitational. At first, I was intrigued because I was like, could this potentially mean that WWE's going to merge the divisions finally? Something that we've been asking for so many years now. Are we actually going to see the divisions finally get merged together? No, this was not what we'd be getting. So, we come back from commercial and Cesaro and Nakamura, they criticized the Street Profits for their antics outside of the ring, but Montez had a pretty good, a pretty good line. He said, basically, this looks like the Bar 2.0, because you guys remember Cesaro was tag team champion with Sheamus for a good 2 years. And then, now he's with Nakamura. And I forget, Montez had a really good line here. I'm trying to forget what he said. Oh, it's something about like Cesaro having so many partners that he should get tested for STDs. That was a great line. I like the Street Profits. They're pretty entertaining. I just wish they had a tag team division to work around. Cesaro and Nakamura talked about how, instead of defending the Raw Tag Team Championships, the Street Profits are busy playing basketball and golf with the Viking Raiders. So, pretty good lines for both teams. Instead of merging the tag team divisions, which would be the best thing for the entire tag team division in WWE right now, which is the weakest part of WWE's main roster, they instead announced that next week we would be getting champion versus champion, and not a winner-take-all match, but just a normal match between these two teams. whatever. I'm so excited for this match next week. It should be a good match, all right, but I don't know. I feel like this is just going to be a setup for Retribution or some crap like this. Merge the tag team divisions. You don't, even though I wouldn't mind them merging also the women's divisions, but the tag team divisions clearly need to be merged. There is nothing, absolutely nothing exciting about these two, the tag team division right now. It's the same shit every single week. On SmackDown, Cesaro and Nakamura have nobody to face. They have been feuding with the Lucha House Party, but it looks like that feud's kind of died down the last couple weeks. New Day are not there. The Usos are not there, as you have Jey Uso facing Roman Reigns. Since Jimmy Uso's not there, to build up Roman Reigns' heel turn. And on Raw, there's no teams. Merge the tag team divisions. Or at least merge the tag team divisions until you can get some teams back. Until you can get, the Forgotten Sons who are truly forgotten. Until the New Day come back. Until the Usos come back. And until you can actually get some more teams on Monday Night Raw. I don't know if you guys read this, but AOP was released over the weekend. And I don't blame WWE for releasing AOP. Because it seemed like, they could never get on a good run on the main roster. It seemed like every single time they turn around, AOP was having another injury, something delaying them from getting to where they could have been as one of the top teams. And it's sad, because it's another great NXT tag team that could not make it on the main roster. Look at the Viking Raiders, look at AOP, look at the Forgotten Sons. The list goes on and on and on. I don't know. It's sad. It's sad. But like I said, I would at least, if you don't want to merge the divisions long term, I would at least merge the divisions, all right? At least have one tag team champion until you can actually get some actual teams for these divisions. I know you have the draft coming up, but I don't think you're going to be, I don't even think bringing up 2 or 3 tag teams from NXT will be enough to fix Raw and SmackDown tag team divisions. I would at least merge the tag team divisions until you're able to get an actual division for Raw and SmackDown. And I will keep saying it until something is done. Because the tag team divisions have never been as bad as they are right now. And that is simple. Alright? Next up, we had Billie Kay versus Peyton Royce, the former Iconic buddies now, and we know why WWE broke up the Iconics. Another tag team! I wasn't a big fan of the Iconics, but you could have used them in the women's tag team division. There's no teams in the women's tag team division as well, because you just broke up Sasha Banks and Britt Bailey. Alright, the best women's tag team of all time. Now you broke up the Iconics. You're breaking up Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross because Alexa Bliss's character changed, which is something I'm actually interested in. Who would have knew the day? Who would have predicted the day that I would actually be invested in something going on with Alexa Bliss? But like I said, you're breaking up all your tag teams now, because we heard rumors now that Vince wants to give Peyton Royce a singles run. So Billie Kay and Peyton Royce both came out to new theme music, and like I said, man, the generic theme songs that these superstars are getting. Billie Kay's theme song wasn't as bad. It kind of fits her, even though I don't give a crap about Billie Kay because she's terrible. But Peyton Royce's theme song was absolutely terrible tonight. You want to give Peyton Royce a singles run, but damn, it's like Keith Lee, bro. Keith Lee, he needs his theme song more than ever. I don't care about Billie Kay, but at least Peyton Royce, who is easily the better of the pair, I would at least give him Peyton Royce the Iconic theme song, the old Iconic theme. Her theme song right now is absolutely terrible. It has nothing. It doesn't go with her character or her personality at all. At all. They gave Billie Kay the better theme song out of the bunch. But this match was nothing special. Peyton Royce defeated Billie Kay in 3 or 4 minutes. She won with a big kick and neck breaker for the win. Nothing really special here. After the match, we saw Royce help her former partner to her feet. I thought, this would further break up the two, as we would see Royce maybe attack Billie Kay after the match. No, the two hugged, so it's clear that even though they're not a tag team anymore, the two are still friends on WWE TV. I'm not that excited for a Peyton Royce singles run. I love to see women get more opportunity, but you care more about building a Peyton Royce than a freaking Bianca Belair? Are you fucking kidding me right now? So if you're telling me Vince McMahon is so focused on building up Peyton Royce, but we don't see freaking Bianca Belair. Bianca is forced back in catering. Bianca Belair, one of the best women's wrestlers in that company, arguably the most athletic superstar we've ever seen in the women's division. You have someone with the talent as of Bianca Belair, someone that has women's champion riches all over her, but you better build up Peyton Royce. Good to see that you have your priorities straight, Vince. Good to see. Absolutely terrible, bro. Absolutely terrible. I'm not excited for a Peyton Royce singles run. I'm not. Terrible stuff. All right. Anyway, moving on. We had Asuka and Mickie James versus Natalya and Lana in tag team action. It's been announced that next week on Monday Night Raw, we will be getting Asuka versus Mickie James for the Raw Women's Championship, which I don't know why, because I'm trying to think, what does this mean for Clash of Champions? Because Asuka's going to be defending her championship at the show anyway, so I don't know why they wouldn't save the match for, Clash of Champions. And another instance, I said this last week, you care about building up Peyton Royce, you care about putting Natalya and Lana, who's absolutely terrible in the ring, right? Natalya I couldn't give two shits about. Mickie James, even though I like Mickie James, she should not be wrestling right now. She should not be getting Raw Women's Championships opportunity. It should be building up new stars. You're building up all these other women, but yet freaking Bianca Belair is in catering. Keep it up, WWE. I'm going to have to put Bianca Belair on a milk carton in the next couple weeks if this keeps up. It's absolutely terrible how out of touch Vince actually is. It really is. So, I don't know. Maybe we're going to see Mickie turn heel. I do not know. I don't know why we're getting this match next week and they're not saving the match for Clash of Champions when Asuka's going to be defending her title anyway. But before that, we got a tag team match, Asuka and Mickie versus Natalya and Lana. This was awful because I don't give a shit about Natalya, and Lana is awful in the ring. Awful in the ring. If anything, you should put Natalya and Lana in the tag team division. Like I said, you should be building up new teams in the women's tag team division. Now that Sasha and Bayley are no longer together. Now that the Iconics, even though breaking them up made no sense, now that they're not together no more, you should be building them up. You have no teams in the tag team division right now. No teams in the tag team division. All right? All you have is Nia, who's terrible, Nia and Shayna, and the Iconics. Put Natalya and Lana in there, right? Like I said, I would not mind seeing Naomi and Bianca Belair. Build up some new teams in the tag team division. This stuff right here is awful. I don't want to see a terrible tag team match that means absolutely nothing in the long run. Put Natalya and Lana in the tag team division instead of having them go up against Asuka. Asuka should be facing more important opponents. Come on, let's be serious here. All right, let's be serious. So we had the match. The match didn't mean anything. All right, Asuka got knocked off the apron near the end. She tried to climb the ropes. All right. Excuse me. Sorry. Asuka got knocked off the apron. We then saw Mickie James climb the ropes. Then Asuka reappeared, made the tag, and made Lana tap out with the Asuka lock. Mickie hit Natalya with a Mick kick outside of the ring. And Mickie and Asuka celebrate together, but they had half smiles on their faces because next week they're going to be face off for the Raw Women's Championship. Like I said, I don't know. It's going to be a good match, like I said. Remember, Asuka and Mickie James had a fantastic match down in NXT a couple years ago when Asuka was the NXT Women's Champion. I would not give Mickie James the victory here, but I don't know. We could see Mickie turn heel. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen next week. I think the smart bet would see Mickie turn heel and potentially us get this match again at Clash of Champions. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see for next week. But I don't see Mickie winning next week. Like I said, I don't even know why Mickie's getting this opportunity to begin with. It should be Bianca Belair, but hey. And I see Edward, I agree with you. Bianca deserves better. We should be pushing that hashtag on Twitter. All right, Bianca deserves better. Anyway, moving on. We had, and we're almost done. I'm kind of surprised. We're almost done here, man. Like I said, this show sucked. This show absolutely sucked. We had Raw Underground. Raw Underground. Oh my gosh. So, let me get this straight. You turned Aleister Black heel. You turned Aleister Black heel a couple weeks ago. Like, I've been complaining about this for weeks now. Aleister Black should be one of the top baby faces on Monday Night Raw. He should honestly be in the main event fighting for WWE Championships. That's what he should be doing. But no, Vince McMahon is out of touch, and it's another NXT star that he hasn't booked correctly. So, you announce Aleister Black versus Kevin Owens for Raw Underground, right? So I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're going to give us 10, 15 matches or minutes in Raw Underground. Actually sell us on Raw Underground, make it look important. Because you have two names that I actually enjoy on the show, who I wish would book better, but you want me to get invested into an Aleister Black and Kevin Owens feud, right? So we get the match in Raw Underground, and the two are going off on each other. It actually looked pretty decent, even though I hate how WWE's doing fake MMA, scripted MMA here. Alright, that's what Raw Underground is. Don't be blindsided. This is fake MMA, but we get that here, and then we come back from commercial, and then they're focused on the Women's Tag Team Championships. So you want me to get invested in Aleister Black and KO? You show me 2 minutes of them fighting in Raw Underground, but then we don't see it for another 20 minutes. We come back 20 minutes later. It's about 10:30 when the match started around 10:05. These two are still going at it, right? So you really made it look important by having the match begin and then turning away from the match to focus on something else for 20 minutes. So we come back, KO and Aleister Black, they're still fighting. Like I said, this was okay, but you really took me out of it by having the match having the show focus on something else while this match was taking place in Raw Underground. First of all, the match should have never been happening in Raw Underground to begin with. This is a match that's supposed to be taking place inside a WWE ring. It's supposed to be taking place inside a ring, not Raw Underground. So then, we have Raw Underground. It happens. And then we come back, and I forgot what the name of the guy. I think it was Dabo Kato. I'm looking at my notes here. Dabo Kato attacked both KO and Aleister Black, hit them both with power slams and choke slams, so that we get a indecisive finish. So, tell me, why should I give a shit about KO and Aleister Black? We still haven't got an explanation for why Aleister Black turned heel, right? We have no explanation for that. And then you decided to give us the match inside Raw Underground and give us a non-conclusive finish. Plus, on top of that, we didn't get to see 80% of the match, because 80% of the match took place off screen. This is the kind of logic gaps I'm talking about. You don't want to get your priorities straight. You want me to care about Raw Underground, but you do shit like this. And now, why should I care about Aleister Black and KO? Why? I don't know. This is the shit I'm talking about. Logic gaps. You want me to care about this show, and then you give us crap like this. Awful. Absolutely awful. I want to care about KO and Aleister Black, but when you have the match take place for 20 minutes off screen, why should I care? And I still want an explanation for why Aleister Black turned heel. And I haven't gotten that. And it's been 3 weeks since he attacked KO. Terrible. Anyway, during the KO and Aleister Black match that took place off screen at Raw Underground, we got a 2-on-1 handicap match. At Clash of Champions, it's going to be Nia and Shayna going up against the Riot Squad for the Tag Team Championships. So, I complained about this in the opening shoot. You had Shayna Baszler get put over by two of the best female wrestlers in the world, Sasha Banks and Bayley, at WWE Payback. Shayna defeated both Sasha and Shayna by herself at Payback. Then you had Nia Jax, who was trash, beat both Sasha and Bayley again in a rematch on Friday that led to the Sasha and Bayley breakup, which was great. So, tonight they're going up against the Riot Squad. And I like the Riot Squad, but they're not on the level of Sasha Banks and Bayley. Sasha and Bayley have been the best thing in the women's division all year on WWE TV. But you decided to have Shayna lose to the Riot Squad in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That makes no sense. So you have, they take one step further forward with Shayna Baszler. Sasha and Bayley make Shayna look like a badass at WWE Payback. And then they take 3 steps backward with the bullshit they did tonight. The 50-50 booking. We complain about it every single week. 50-50 booking. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Alright? So, why am I supposed to care about Shayna Baszler now? She lost in 2 weeks. 2 minutes. My bad. 2 minutes to the Riot Squad when she defeated the best females in the world right now in Sasha Banks and Bayley at Payback. 50-50 booking. Always a problem here with WWE. Always a problem. So then, we get Nia versus the Riot Squad. And it looked like the Riot Squad were going to get a clean sweep over Nia and Shayna tonight. But instead, right when it looked like the Riot Squad had the victory and had the match won, we saw the lights dim and Retribution, who now has an official graphic, appeared on the screen. It's kind of becoming clear who Retribution is. We saw Mia Yim. You could definitely see Mia Yim. Definitely one of the members of Retribution. You could also see Dominik Dijakovic. Alright, so those are 2 Retribution members confirmed. I believe also Kaden Carter's in there. I think I saw Dio Madden. So it looks like we actually have the members of Retribution revealed. But their promo was awful. All they did was give some stupid, philosophical, explanation for why they did what they did. They talk about, being thrown out as outcasts, basically, forced us to eat crumbs at the bottom of WWE's food chain. I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Spare me the philosophy. I don't want to hear that nonsense. And actually explain to me, what did WWE do to make you want to rebuke against the system? What did they do to you? I don't need this whole, complex explanation. No. You want me to believe in Retribution? Explain to me why. Was it because you weren't given opportunities down in NXT? What? Was it because you felt like you weren't on television enough? Explain to me why you're rebuking against the system. Why? I don't care for this nonsense. I don't. You want me to care about Retribution, but when you pull shit like this, it's hard for me to care. It truly is. But it seems like we actually have a direction for Retribution. They are exclusive now to Monday Night Raw. We won't be seeing Retribution on SmackDown anymore. But still, Retribution, instead of giving me a philosophy lesson, explain to me why you actually did what you do. Explain to me why you attack superstars and why you attack employees and referees and WWE staff. Alright? Be specific. Don't be complex. It's that simple. I'm just happy that they're finally actually giving us an explanation after 2 fucking months of Retribution attacks. But anyway, stop with that nonsense, alright? Be specific. Tell me why you're actually doing what you're doing. But it's also clear to us that we actually know who Retribution is. Kaden Carter, Dominik Dijakovic, Mia Yim, Dio Madden. Alright? We'll see where this goes. And in the main event, we saw Dominik versus Buddy Murphy in a street fight. This was set up by a interview segment earlier in the night where Murphy got mad at Dominik. He blamed Dominik for Seth Rollins turning his back on him. Seth was not there tonight. Seth did tweet out that Murphy had to earn his loyalty back to the Messiah. So we got the street fight, and this was good. This was good. So basically, we had Rey Mysterio, we had Angie, we had Elijah, all at ringside, all armed with kendo sticks. Dominik warned Buddy that if he tried anything, if he tried to hurt his family, that he would pay and not be taking any more breaths in or outside the ring. So Murphy attacked Dominik at the opening bell, but we saw Dominik fight back. It was a really good spot where Dominik did a flying crossbody from the screens that they use for the WWE Thunderdome outside the ring. We come back from break. Murphy seized control for like the next 10 minutes. He dominated. And We saw Dominic fight out of an abdominal stretch, sent Murphy into the ring. Then we see Murphy send Dominic's shoulder first into the ring post. Then we saw Murphy look under the ring, allowing Elijah and Angie to free Dominic from the ropes. Then we saw Dominic did a beautiful, I'll say this, it was a beautiful sunset flip powerbomb through a table. Really good spot. Then we saw Dominic, he earned a 2 count. Then Dominic wrapped Murphy into the ropes the same way Seth and Murphy did to Dominic weeks before, and they unloaded on Murphy with kendo sticks. Then Mysterio looked into the camera the same way Seth had been doing in weeks past. He said, "Payback is a bitch, and I hope you're watching the Seth." So I like what they did here. Then Ray invited his wife and daughter into the ring, and the entire Mysterio family, this was pretty cool, the entire Mysterio family unloads on Murphy with kendo sticks over and over again. Then all of a sudden Murphy quits because he couldn't handle the pain from all 4 Mysterio family members. And then we see the Mysterios stood tall as the show ends with the Mysterios continue to pummel Murphy with kendo sticks. I liked it. I really did enjoy seeing Aliyah and Angie getting in on the action with the kendo sticks. Seeing those 2 females get into the ring, I like this. This is foreshadowing to me because I feel like we're eventually going to see this with Seth Rollins. We know that Seth Rollins is going to be written off TV eventually. But I would say probably around Hell in a Cell time. That's when I think that we're going to see this end for good with Ray and Seth and Dominic and the Mysterio family. That's when I see this ending, because we know that Becky's going to be having her baby in early December. So I think that's when we're going to see Seth written off TV. And then we won't see Seth return till WrestleMania season. But I like this. I like this ending a lot. I think this is foreshadowing for the future for Seth Rollins, because eventually the babyfaces are going to have to get their revenge on Seth. Seth can't be looking strong forever. But this was a good ending to the show, but I'm going to be honest, this was not a good show. The only 2 good things were the street fight between Mysterio and Dominic and the Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre segments. Other than that, as always, this show is full of logic gaps, rinse and repeat bullshit, and I didn't like it. You can't give me 2 good things on this show and expect me to say this was a good show. No. I hope the terrible rinse and repeat booking of this show is reflected in the ratings. Vince McMahon needs to go. You cannot keep doing this. Oh, I wait till Monday morning. I wait till right before Monday Night Raw to rewrite the show or to look at the script. The show needs to be written days in advance. So changes can be made, creative changes that can be made that can make the show actually be good. Because right now, Monday Night Raw is terrible. It really is. Other than Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and Dominic, I'm not investing in anything with Monday Night Raw. And that's disappointing. Because Raw should have more than enough talent to give us an entertaining 3 hours and a creative 3 hours without giving us the same shit every single week. But that's my thoughts on Monday Night Raw. I want to thank you guys for joining me here on the Legit Shoot Podcast. You guys are awesome. Before you guys leave, no matter if you guys are watching on stream or on demand, leave a like on the video. It helps push this out so we can educate more fools that want to say, oh, this was a 10 out of 10 show. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't at all. All right? But if you guys enjoyed the review, leave a like on the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Enable notifications by clicking the bell next to my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Thank you to everyone who live tweeted with me. As always, follow me down on social media if you guys want to talk wrestling, anime, any of that good stuff. Check out all my other podcast content that is live on the channel right now. If you guys miss anything, you guys know where to find that. Just go find the Legit Shoot Podcast playlist so you guys are updated every time with all my wrestling content. Thank you guys for everything once again. I'm going to get out of here, guys. Stay safe and healthy.